wanted to open it up to you all for any questions, comments, concerns from yesterday. Anything that you need clarified from yesterday. All right, Nate, what's our timing like for intramural sports basketball games?
2 20-minute halves, running clock the last 2 minutes.
Running clock lasts 2 minutes, and then what? What's the new rule?
Oh, like mercy rule or whatever? Or there's mercy rule, and then what? If they're up by 20 with the last 2 minutes, the clock keeps running.
Yep, last 2 minutes of the second half. Yeah, then the clock's gonna run continuously. What if they get within 20 points within those last 2 minutes?
It still runs.
Still is gonna run continuously. All right, what is the Mike Bass? What's the mercy rule?
30. 5 minutes left.
In the second half?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Lucas, how many people do you need to start a co-rec game?
Start a co-rec is it 2?
Wow.
Start a co-rec? I know you only need 1 to play. Do you need 3 to start?
You gotta have 4 to start a co-rec game.
Okay.
Yep. So co-rec game is can it be played with 5?
No.
No. Can it be played with 3 males and 1 female?
No.
Can it be played with 3 females and 1 male?
No.
How many? What's the ratio have to be?
2 to 1.
Hey. Yeah. So if you play with 4 people, it's got to be 2 and 2. But if you drop down to 3 because of fouls or something like that, then it has to be 2 to 1 ratio. Vice versa. All right. So switching to men's and women's, how many people do you need to start a game for? Or how many people can you start a game for men's and women's?
That's always
2 options. Option number 1, 5 people. Option number 2, 4 people. All right. How many? If you have 3 people present, how many? Or what's the result? Default. All right. Let's see. Steven, can you tell me what closely guarded means?
If the offensive player is dribbling the ball and the defensive player is within about 5 feet.
About 5?
About 5 feet. 5 or more seconds to turnover.
All right, it's 6 feet, and but that's close. It's about 5 feet. You're right, but it's 6 feet. That's close. Yeah. So 6 feet, and they have 5 seconds. So the offensive player has 5 seconds to do what?
To either pass the ball or to widen the gap more than 6 feet.
Okay. Yeah. So pass the ball, hold the ball, give up. Shoot the ball. Pass the ball. Shoot the ball. Hold the ball, or widen the get past the defender. Let's see, Sarah. So when do you restart your closely guarded counts?
Well, I mean, when they get by the defender.
Okay.
They restart.
Yep.
Don't restart if there's another defender just gets right on them, right?
Right.
It's the same count.
Yep.
I don't know when else you restart.
Okay, so we talked about holding the ball. What about if they start a new dribble? Like if they haven't dribbled at all yet? Do you start
then you would restart.
Yep. All right, so you basically will restart the count if you begin a dribble or if you pick up the ball. That's about it. Let's see. Caleb, let's see. What is, can you describe to me what types of violations there are?
Like walking, traveling.
Yep, so those are examples. What else?
Don't dribble.
Yep.
Blocking foul. Charge.
So fouls would be separate category. So again, you're right. So what do you remember what the mechanic is for anybody? Does anybody remember what the mechanic is for a violation? Yep. Open hand, open, not a fist, straight up. That basically just stops the clock. That's the mechanic for stopping the clock. And then you would give the signal for whatever the violation is. So how do you stop the clock for a foul? Alexia? Yep, straight up fist. Any other, y'all want to ask any questions?
What's different about free throws?
Okay. All right, what's the rule change with free throws this year? We talked about yesterday. All right, who can move on the release? Yep, players in marked lane spaces can go into the lane on the shooter's release. When can the shooter go into the lane? Yep. All right, here's a question we didn't talk about yesterday. What do you do on an air ball free throw? Or a free throw that doesn't hit the rim at all. So maybe it just hits the backboard, or it's an air ball. Yeah. So you blow it dead, and then you would the opposing team would just get it under the basket. You would not let them just grab the rebound and start going like they would on a regular missed shot. All right. So we're gonna get started with going over some more rules. Some of them we talked about yesterday. Yes?
Just a random question. Since the players can go on the release, could they block the
No.
It's not a jump shot.
He got fouled on their free throws. Alright, so we're going to go through basketball rules. Some of these we hit on yesterday, but the more you hear something, the more likely you are to retain the information. So some of this you'll hear it for a second time, maybe even third, fourth, fifth time today. So we're going to get into this a little bit and then go through the rest of the PowerPoint that we missed yesterday. All right, so everybody, sit up straight, shoulder back. Everybody good? Wake up. Good. All right.
I guess I'm starting.
Got it.
Woo.
Big guy.
Okay, I wasn't here for a lot of yesterday, but as Doug told me, we've gone over all this stuff that I'm about to go over, so I'm gonna try and breeze through pretty quickly, but if you have a question, just ask. So first things first, everyone has to have their one card to start the game. We are allowing participants to show their driver's license now if they don't have their one card. So just let them do that if they don't have their one card. So there'll be a referee and 2 umpires in each game. We're on a 3-man crew this year. So the official jurisdiction begins when they arrive on the floor. So if you see people hanging on the rim and stuff before the game, like we talked about, it's a technical, just let them know. The first week you can just let them know not to do it, but after the first week, basically, you just need to start giving them technicals for it. They should know by then. And the officials are responsible for all the players. You might see some frat teams bring out a coach or any fans with them. We're responsible for all of them. So like we just talked about a second ago, official game, we need to have 5 to 4 people present, 5 for men's and women's, 4 for co-rec, or 4, you can start a game in men's and women's at 4 as well. 3 is a default, and less than that is a forfeit, but that's more for the supervisors to worry about. Like we also talked about, has to be 2 and 2 for co-rec, not 3 and 1 or any other kind of ratio. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so substitutions, we can't just let them substitute on the fly. You have to go check in at the scores table, and on dead balls, officials will bring them in. Most of the time, we never ring the horn to do subs, just because there's so many games going on at once. So just kind of every dead ball, just turn your head on the corner to see if there's any subs coming in. And scorekeepers try and help out the officials too if they don't see it. Make sure everyone has uniforms. It's pretty self-explanatory. So illegal equipment. No jewelry, that's a big thing. Headband no wider than 2 inches. Elastic bands can control hair. Basically, Justin's told us now every knee brace, even if it is one of the harder ones, can be used. What do you think?
Alright, make sure that the players are wearing a shirt underneath the jersey that they are wearing. It is disgusting if they do so otherwise. Just give them a helpful reminder. You gotta have a shirt underneath the jersey. Nobody wants your sweat on them.
Obviously, if someone has a hard cast on, they can't play. They are allowed to have pockets, so that's different from flag football. You ref that. Teams need to provide their own ball. A lot of times they'll just run in there at the last second looking for a ball, and they might not have one, so they can either bring their own or check one out from one. And when you're doing your captain's meeting, something you always want to ask is, do you have a good ball to play with? Ask both teams. Grab that ball and see if they both agree that it's a good ball. Especially co-rec, where they can use a women's or a men's ball, that's pretty important. So yeah, just make sure they all agree on the ball. So.
I got one thing to add when we're talking about getting the game started. So, all right, you got blue team and white team. Blue team, I'm the desk right here on the table. All right, you got blue team over here, white team over here, benches. So where should blue team be warming up? Yep, blue team should be warming up over here, white team should be warming up over here to start the first half. Yeah, to start the first half. So which way are they going to be shooting first half? Same way. They shoot on the bats that they warmed up with. So opposite where their benches are, second half they go towards their benches. Here's who's going to talk about some definitions for us. I know that some people think this is just really mundane stuff, but the reason that we go through the definitions is because we're going to use these terms throughout whenever we're describing fouls, violations, and that kind of thing. So it's important to understand what an airborne shooter is, for example, what an airborne shooter is whenever you're determining if a foul should be called or not. So that's why we go through these definitions.
Cool. So, as it says right there, an airborne shooter is a player who's released the ball at a back to goal and is not returned to the floor. Essentially what that means, if they let it go and they're still in the air, they are entitled to a place to land as long as they're not running over someone who is set before they jumped. If they're in the air and somebody slides underneath them on defense, even if they set their feet, that is still going to be a charge. Or no, it would be a block on the defense. If defense slides in after the shooter has left and is an airborne shooter, defense has to be set before they leave the ground. Alternating possession area. This is just determines how the ball is going to be thrown in. I have no idea what these built ones are.
All right.
Besides that.
The biggest thing that you need to No, about alternating possession arrow is that you need to be in constant communication with your scorekeeper because they're going to be determining who gets the ball next. So this is more so for jump balls. So somebody, let's see. All right, so to start a game, blue gets the jump ball. That means when I say jump ball, that they get the tip. All right. So blue gets the tip. They get possession of the tip. And then that means at the first jump ball, or at the first held ball, who gets possession? White. All right. So there's only that one jump ball. White got that jump ball. So that means to start the second half, who gets the ball? Blue. So you're going to have if there's no jump balls at all, then white's going to get the next one. So it's basically just alternating who gets the next possession if there is a held ball or at the change to start the half or something like that. Like I said, be in constant communication with your scorekeeper. A good idea, what I like to do is to carry something in my pocket or have a little rubber band or something on my wrist so I know blue is on my right wrist and white is on my left wrist. So I know at the very beginning of the game, I'm like, oh, blue got the ball, and I can do it while I'm running. So then I switch it to my white, or to my left hand. So then I know there's a jump ball. Who's got it? Scorekeeper doesn't know. So on my left wrist, that means white gets the ball.
One thing that is very helpful that I found for that is as soon as the first half ends, you go over to the scores table and you tell them to flip the arrow, or you watch them flip the arrow, so that you know that, like, at halftime it has to get flipped because the team's now shooting on opposite baskets. So that way you know it's been flipped, and right there you can figure out who has it once you start the second half, and you don't have to spend the first 30 seconds figuring out who's going which direction and who's supposed to have the arrow. So ball location at disposal. That is a fancy way of saying who has the ball. So you are in the backcourt. Backcourt is like when you're bringing the ball up. That's the backcourt. Once you cross over the midline, you are in the front court. In order to establish being in the front court, you have to have both feet and the ball in the front court. If you have 1 foot and you're still dribbling, like 1 foot over the line, 1 foot still in the backcourt and you're dribbling, you still haven't crossed over. So you should be keeping your 10-second count all the way until they have both feet and the ball in the front court. Once they have established that, they're not allowed to step on the line or dribble the ball on the line, which results in a backcourt violation.
It drops back.
What?
It drops back. So
Yeah. Okay. Yes. In bowling, with the free throw line extended, which is just the free throw line all the way across the court. So you'll have to there'll be a judgment call if it goes back there. You're not going to have a line if it's outside of the free throw, but you have to use your best judgment as to where it would be if it extended out. If the ball hits you as an official, it is in play, like you are part of the court. So if you're standing on the sideline and it hits you, the ball is out of bounds because you're standing out of bounds. It'd be like if it hit a player, he was standing out of bounds. And so in that case, if you'd ever touch the last, it would be the other team's ball. So the ball is allowed to hit the front or side of the backboard. If the ball is in bounds, it's allowed to hit the bottom part of the backboard as well. On a throw-in, however, if you're under the basket and it hits the bottom, you throw it in, it hits the bottom of the backboard, that's out of bounds, and it would go to the other team. As far as the backboard, if it goes up and on top of the backboard, like you shoot it, hits the rim, goes up on the backboard, then comes back down, that is legal. That is a good basket, as long as it doesn't touch any of the other crap that's on top of the goal. I think we talked about that a little bit more. Dave?
Are we still have like road on court four?
The one that's just on court 4, it's not on the other court, right?
Stick plays like what we're talking about. Since they're out of bounds.
Right, yeah,
It's like over top of the rim.
yeah, I'd say that's,
So what they're saying, there's a rope that goes over one of the goals, court 4, and it's like pretty close to the goal, and a lot of times the ball will bounce up and hit it, and that is out of bounds. So that's only on one of the courts. Oh, we just said it was inbounds? Okay, yes, it is inbounds. Oh, wait, very much inbounds. Okay, basket choice. They don't really get a choice for the basket. They have their benches and they're going to shoot on either side. Yeah, it's really important what Tori was saying about having them, wherever their bench is, have them warm up and start shooting in the first half on the opposite basket. So that way you know where they're shooting and where the possession area is going to be. It makes it a lot easier whenever you're trying to figure that out.
what do you do if blue team scores in white's basket? Not a daggone thing, you just let it count for the blue team.
You let it count for the white team?
Well, yeah, whoever's basket. Sorry, I couldn't
If they
remember-
score
I
on their
couldn't
own
remember the
goal,
example.
it goes through.
Yeah, to give to whoever's basket.
Do they get the ball back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bold move.
Basket interference. We don't have this too much in IMs, but it's still good to know the rules. You can't touch the ball as long as it's over the cylinder. So as long as it's within, like where the basket is, going up, you can't touch it. After.
You got a question?
Question. Yes.
This is kind of a minute or two ago, but we're just confused about, you said the
Yes, that's what.
They said I can't picture it right now, but if it's right over the rim, it's
No,
like
it's not.
it extends. It goes
Yeah.
high to left.
Goal and then like
Comes down like over back.
We have a whiteboard, right?
I've always thought
Okay,
about.
then yeah, then that would be out. If it's, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what y'all were saying. I can't picture it right now, sorry.
Just choose one rule.
during
and
school
then-
All right,
Figure this
it's
out.
gonna be out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
All right, so on court 4, here's the thing. It's most definitely out of bounds.
Out of bounds, but I still think it should. Shut up.
Looks like you're wrong.
It's always been out of bounds. I don't think it should be.
Yeah, so you can't reach up through the basket and mess with the ball. This is same for offense and defense. If the offensive team shoots it and it's over the cylinder, or they reach up through the goal, you blow it dead. That's going to be the trail official's call, or the center can call it too. And you blow it dead and give it to the other team. If it happens and the shot goes in, if like the offense does it, shot goes in, the basket's no good, you go to the other team. If the defense does it, the basket's good, and then they get the ball. And pulling the rim, that's a big one too. If they accidentally hit the rim when they're trying to get a rebound, or if the offensive team grabs it for whatever reason, that is goaltending or basket interference. Blocking and charging, that's going to be a big one. Those are one of your most common fouls.
Don't go right for
Okay. Blocking is illegal personal contact that impedes the progress of an opponent. So, anything, I can't remember what did Mike say last year? The like 4 things that like if you impede, there was like.
Yeah. It was a terrible argument.
Anyway, so if you do anything that as a defender, if the defender does anything that slows down the progress of the offense or impedes them, or makes contact without having first established their position, then that is a block by rule.
Yes, except one common misconception is that the defender has to be set. They don't have to be set. They just have to be in a legal guarding position. So they don't have to have both feet on the floor set in one spot taking a charge like this. I can be moving with the person. If the offensive team comes into me, initiates contact while I'm in a legal guarding position, that is a charge.
Yes.
You kind of want to think of it as everybody on the court is entitled to every position on the court. So if I'm impeding the progress of Pierce, who has the ball, or if he's impeding the progress of me as the defender, or initiates contact with me, then whoever initiates that contact, that's who the foul should be on. Most often.
Yes, so if a offensive player lowers their shoulder into a defender that is legally guarding them, that is a charge. Usually it's going to be a block. Usually the defender is not in a legal guarding position. They're getting there just like a second or like half a second too late. That will be your call most of the time. It's really one that you're just gonna, that it's hard to explain, that you just see in action. But if you have any questions, like once we start doing like scrimmages especially, that's what you want to look for and work on making sure you get that call correctly. Because either way, one person's going to be pissed at you and the other one's going to be very happy. So you just got to be strong. That's like the most important one, to be strong and confident with your call.